Section 10.5, it's all about the anti-slavery movement. In the beginning, when this all started, there was the situation where, yes, there's a lot of abolitionists who want to get rid of slavery. So there's this debate. Should we gradually get rid of slavery? That way it doesn't hurt the economy as much. Or do we end it immediately? So this is a situation that's going on. Great Britain already had started in the late 1700s. It got rid of slavery within Great Britain itself and all of its territories during the American Revolution. So here we are as a country. Some of us want to be modeled after Britain. So there's that situation of, are we going to allow slavery to stay here? So this section is all about the anti-slavery movement, abolitionism, that kind of thing. The American Colonization Society will be a group that is formed in 1816, and their goal was to return Black Americans to freedom in Africa. However, at that point in time, only about 20% of the African American population was actually from Africa itself. Everyone else had been born in the United States. There isn't going to be a lot of people who want to actively return to Africa because they were born here and this is all they knew. Liberia will be created in 1821-22, and small settlements will be created on the coast of West Africa. 88 people in the very first group, but about 15,000 in total will go from the United States into Liberia to settle. The problem here is, just like when colonists originally came to the North American continent, there were people already in this area. So there's going to be fighting themselves for quite some time between those areas. But Liberia does get set up and established and becomes a country based on those individuals who had left slavery in the United States. When it comes to abolitionism, there's a strong religious base. Quakers are going to be kind of the first ones, and also during the Second Great Awakening with the social reforms that those women talk about at camp meetings, they're going to push for abolitionism too. The first American movement to abolish slavery was in 1688. German and Dutch Quakers are going to write a 2-page condemnation of it, and they're going to send it up the chain within the Quaker religion. The first article will be published by Thomas Paine. It's called African Slavery in America. And remember, Thomas Paine is the individual who wrote Common Sense, the article that got a lot of Americans to fight for the American Revolution. So we have a strong base at the beginning. So some individuals that are abolitionists themselves, the biggest, most well-known is William Lloyd Garrison. William Lloyd Garrison, he learned the printing trade really early in his life. In 1831, he started the first anti-slavery newspaper called The Liberator. He demanded immediate emancipation, but to have it gradually achieved. He realized that if 4.5 million individuals were released from slavery immediately, economically, that would cause a problem, which we do see later during Reconstruction. There is a massive economic issue with a lot of people because the South, they tie up all their money in agriculture and slavery. He demanded equal rights for not only African Americans, but also for women as well. He was a big proponent on equality for everyone. William Lloyd Garrison, Theodore Weld, and Robert Purvis, together, they're going to form the New England Anti-Slavery Society in 1833. By 1840, they have over 160,000 members. So it grows relatively quickly, easily. A lot of people in the North are going to join the Anti-Slavery Society. Other abolitionists, we have David Walker. He was a free black man who owned a clothing store. In 1829, he's going to write a pamphlet denouncing the hypocrisy of the white man. And he's going to urge slaves to revolt against their masters. So in 1830, about 7 months after he put out his pamphlet, he will be murdered in the front of his store by an angry white mob. Nobody will ever be convicted of this, and it shows a lot of people that racism is really ingrained in the country, no matter where you are. The Grimke sisters, Sarah and Angelina, were born as slaves. They were not as slaves. They were born to a father who owned slaves. He was a slave owner. After their father dies, he's going to leave everything to them because he has no sons. And so the daughters inherit. In 1821, Sarah is going to become a Quaker, and she's going to leave immediately. She doesn't want to be there. Angelina is going to wait a few years. She has some stuff of her father she has to take care of. And then she can join her sister in 1835. They both speak out against slavery and for women's rights. And they're both part of the Underground Railroad. They help William Lloyd Garrison in his efforts. A political party that is going to come out of abolitionism is called the Liberty Party. Their goal was to elect a president that would ban slavery completely. The local support in New England was there, but it never really leads to anything because their only goal is the elimination of slavery. And so they don't really have much of a platform. Eventually, they will be absorbed into the Republican Party. They also are part of the formation of the Underground Railroad. Between 1810 and 1850, tens of thousands of slaves will escape. The Underground Railroad is a network of safe houses and shelters. Notable people who have used it: William Wells Brown, Frederick Douglass, Harriet Tubman. So Frederick Douglass, he escaped slavery early on. He had three basic beliefs for success. One, believe in yourself because nobody else is going to. Two, take advantage of every opportunity. You do not know when there another one is going to come about. So if one is offered to you, take it. Three, use the power of the spoken and written language to effect change for yourself and for society. Just sitting back and doing really nothing isn't going to get you anywhere. So talk to people, write letters, do what you can to effect positive change in your society. By living these three tenets in life, he did very well for himself. He believed education was key for Black people to improve their lives so that they would know what is going on. They would know how oppressive society was and how things could be better. By the time of the Civil War, Douglass was known throughout Europe and New England because how well-spoken he was. He spoke in many places. In fact, one of the places he talked about is he went to the Seneca Falls Conference for women's rights, and he spoke up there and said that women should have just as many rights as individuals of color. And so he did quite a lot. Other individuals are Harriet Tubman. Harriet Tubman escaped slavery in 1849. She led 19 trips throughout the South to help over 300 slaves to freedom. Eliza P. Lovejoy. In 1839, he wrote an anti-slavery newspaper in Alton, Illinois, and they got really angry. So in 1837, they're going to storm his house, take his printing press, throw it in the Mississippi River, and then they're going to murder him in his front yard. At Eliza P. Lovejoy's funeral, John Brown dedicated his life to ending slavery. John Brown was a larger-than-life kind of man. He had this all-or-nothing kind of attitude towards slavery. We need to end it all completely. He was known to carry a sword with him, and it wasn't just for decoration. He liked to use it. So John Brown becomes important over the next 10 years. He does quite a few things, and we'll talk more about him later. Abby Kelly Foster, she was a teacher. She championed women's rights and temperance. She's the first female officer of the American Anti-Slavery Society. She's going to marry Stephen Foster. And Stephen and Abby are going to go and they're going to establish Liberty Farm. Liberty Farm was a place where you could go there and be protected if you're escaping. It's part of the Underground Railroad. And they even had armed guards that would patrol the outlying part of the property to make sure that nobody was trying to come in and, recapture anybody or anything like that. So these individuals did very well in helping society and helping slavery as it is. So now what you're going to do is go take the quiz on slavery.